welcome to my video. In this video, I'm going to talk about Cinnamon. Cinnamon Desktop is really great. It was created because the hatred of GNOME 3. GNOME 3 was pretty bad at the time. The GNOME shell was all mixed up. And I think GNOME, since when it switched over to 3, it just kind of started, like, I'm going to be honest, GNOME went downhill. The direction went really downhill. And it's just missing a lot of features. I know people's like, it's still a complete desktop, even though you don't have a system tray or desktop icon. It doesn't make the desktop less fully featured. True in some ways, but to me, at a desktop, a standard desktop to me is that it must have a system tray. It must have a bar of some sort. Like, it must have a menu, desktop icons. That's, to me, is a, sort of a desktop and a file manager. To me, without those, does not really make a complete desktop environment. It makes it more like a LXDE or, like OpenBox with, programs added to it, like LXQT. The way I look at, like, GNOME, it's just, I don't know. It was a fully featured desktop. Like, it had a lot of features in the past. And then they just strip it down. They took even the maximize and minimize button. They just have a close button. I mean, like, I just think GNOME, I really don't like it. I think it works really well. I am a fan of GNOME. Don't get me wrong. I do like the GTK toolkit. Don't get me wrong. That's why I like to use Cinnamon over KDE, because I'm not a big fan of Qt. And that is fine. To each their own. I know a lot of people probably likes it. I'm just not a fan of it, to be honest. I'm not really a KDE person. I don't hate it, just like I don't hate GNOME. It's just not for me personally. I do like Cinnamon. I think it's a great desktop environment. Unfortunately, Wayland Session, it works pretty good in some ways, but a lot of things are broken in it, like drag and drop, copy and moving files to one window box of a file manager like Nemo open and to another one. They just drag and drop. It does not work. It does work in X11, it just doesn't work in Wayland. The lock screen is completely broken, and it's also disabled inside Wayland Session. It works, perfectly fine in X11. I really like Cinnamon. I think it's a great desktop. I think it has like a very straightforward like customization, kind of like a Mac OS, like old style Mac OS like setting menu, or XFCE4 if you remember XFCE4. Well, it's still kind of like that now. It's kind of similar to that, and I like that. Even the old GNOME 2 settings was similar to this, and I really like that because it's just icons and it's categorized, and it's everything that you need to set up is pretty good. Also, if you want to change it to 12-hour time, because the default 24-hour time, by going to configuration, you won't be able to disable the 24-hour time. You have to go to date and time, and then you just go to where it says use 24-hour clock. You just untick it to have it 12 hours. So yeah, and that's pretty cool, and it's a really nice system. It works really well. You can customize it to a lot. I don't really customize much. I just basically add a theme to it, which is Kanagawa Dark Dragon, and I use Screwbox Plus Dark Icon Pack, and I keep the default GNOME cursor. I use PTYXIS terminal. I don't know how you pronounce that. I just spell it out. It has a bunch of color schemes, like pretty much all of them, or at least all the good ones. I use Screwbox material for the color scheme of my terminal, and it works fine. Let's do a Pac-Man update here. So Fastfish got some updates and some other stuff like WebKit. I just really like Arch Linux a lot. It's always nice to be back to it. I'm gonna stick with Arch. Like, I mean, I always use Arch Linux, but once in a while I will go around and test out like other systems like Gentoo, NixOS, Fedora. Before in the past, I play around with Ubuntu just to see what they're up to. But at the end of the day, I really just like using Arch Linux. I've always been an Arch Linux user, and I am a typical Arch Linux user. Not like I'm just an Arch Linux user. I always been an Arch Linux user since I don't know, like 2006. I've been using Arch. I've been using Linux since 98, 99, 1999. So it's like over 25 years I've been using Linux. I've been using Arch Linux for about 18 years, 19 years about. So yeah, it's been a while. I mean, I play around with other systems, but I always use Arch Linux. I like it in a year. I'm always using Arch Linux the most out of all the Linux distributions I use. I'm always distro hopping. That's just me. I like to just see what's going on with projects, and that's what's fun about Linux. There's just so much you can check out and just see what people are doing, and I like that, and it's great to see what's going on, like new desktop environments like Cosmic seems pretty interesting, but I'm not really a big fan of it. I'll never probably use Cosmic, but I like to look at it and test it out a little bit and see what they're up to. But to me personally, it's not my kind of desktop. I don't hate it. If people love it, that's great. I mean, everybody has different tastes, and I think Cinnamon, for me personally, is the kind of desktop I like. I like, I always like Windows 7 style. Like when I used to use Windows back in the day, like Windows 7 actually was a good operating system. It was a good Windows operating system, and I like it because it's very simplistic. You know what I mean? Like, and I see that a lot in Cinnamon. The way they designed this thing, it reminds you a lot like Windows 7 a lot, especially the taskbar and just pinning apps. It's just, to me, it's really clean. You have like a nice little taskbar on the bottom. You have your apps that you use often pinned to the dock or the panel. You got a start menu. You can search for applications. You got little things on the side that make shortcuts. And, that's really cool. Now, to change this to 12-hour time, you have to go to dating time and untick 24-hour clock. Otherwise, it'll show 24-hour time, and by going to the configuration, it doesn't give you that option. You can use custom, but like to just take out the 24-hour, you just go to the settings, and you go to dating time. I really like the settings. It's all categorized, and it's very, keep it simple. It's just like GNOME 2 was like this, old school. XFCE 4 is still like this, or something similar to it. The old GNOME 2, GNOME 2, the old GNOME, even GNOME 3, I think it had sort of like this, and then it kind of just went away. The center menu in GNOME I find is I actually prefer like icons like this. I really like that. It's just easy to find stuff, like, I want to do FX, I want to change window tiling, window box. You know what I mean? Like, it's just laid out really nice. And hardware, you can just do like settings with your hardware display, Bluetooth. And to me personally, I just like this a lot better. It's just, I'm used to like when I use Linux in the old days, like I like this sort of layout, and you see a lot of new desktop environments, or like KDE and GNOME, they're pushing away from that. Even Mac OS. Because Mac OS used to have something like this before in the OS X days, so I missed that kind of layout. So it's nice to see this in Cinnamon still, and I hope they stick to that because I like that. Desktop icons, very important. When I plug in a USB device to the system, it shows, I'm going to plug in something here. It will show your mounted drives, and right there, and you can just unmount it easily, and I like that. It just, Mac OS does the same thing. I like that feature. It's just, it makes it feel like a desktop. Like I use Mac OS quite a lot as well, and when I have something plug in and I have to eject something out, you know, just having it on the desktop, it's a nice feature. And I like Cinnamon has that feature, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, I've been quite happy with Cinnamon, and it's been working quite well. And I find that, you know, it has a system tray, so you don't need applets. You don't need applets to make the system fully functional. It works really well. It's stable. I'm on X11 right now, but once they fix some bugs that I want to fix, especially the lock screen, if that's fixed, you know, I'll basically jump on Wayland Session and stay on it and test it out. But as far as the lock screen not being working that well, I mean, I still could use it and just log off, but I like to have a lock screen, to be honest. It's just, you know, when you're away from your computer, it locks up, and, you know, I don't know, it's just personal preference, I guess. And that's why I'm not using the Wayland Session at the moment, because it's just missing some features, and especially drag and drop, like copy a file from one file manager to another file manager. Like with two window box open, you just want to drag and drop files to different folders, stuff like that. Like it won't work under Wayland. It does work on X11 Session, but when it comes to like Wayland, it doesn't work. So yeah, that's another bug. And yeah, like there's probably more bugs to it, but I know other than that, for me, like running like, you know, Steam and video games on it works quite well. I test that out. Running, you know, Firefox, and just, you know, watching YouTube videos, watching videos on VLC works pretty good. Even under Wayland, like using OBS and doing screencasts, it works pretty well as well. So I test all that out. I don't use it for some things being buggy, like especially the lock screen. If they would fix that, like that would be really awesome. Like I really hope they fix it very soon. They're still working on it. I know it's a problem. They have it disabled at the moment because it's just broken in the Wayland Session. But if they could fix that, you know, soon, that'd be great. I hadn't seen any updates on Cinnamon so far. I checked the GitHub source. I just don't see much updates, but eventually I'm sure there'll be more updates to it. But I think that the people that's maintaining Cinnamon, they're doing a really good job. I really like the desktop environment. And because of GNOME being stupid GNOME, a bunch of desktop environments has been springing up on Linux over the time. Cinnamon was one of them. Cinnamon actually was one of the first ones to actually, you know, kind of fork GNOME and do their own thing. Then you see Unity done the same thing, like with Ubuntu. And another desktop environment that's being sprung up is Cosmic Desktop. So the three desktops that I can think of that, you know, and I think XFCE 4 is probably another one. Nah, probably not. It's just something different. But I just really like Cinnamon. I think Cinnamon, you know, I remember the first Cinnamon release with Mint. Was it Mint 12 or something? Yeah, I think it was Mint 12 when the first GNOME shell of the Cinnamon desktop, and it was a lot different than it is now. But over the years, it had not really changed much. I just think it's like Cinnamon used to be pretty buggy. I actually always been a big fan of Cinnamon. I just never used it because in the past I have used it in the past and it was quite buggy. But I find like Cinnamon nowadays is working really well, and I'm really impressed with Cinnamon. I'm gonna stick with Cinnamon, and I really can't wait for the Wayland Session to be really like polished up, because it's gonna be awesome. Because GNOME, as much as I like that, I think that them missing features, or maybe it's just not a desktop for me. But yeah, it's not a bad desktop. I actually like GNOME. I think it's a very good desktop environment. It's just, to me, just things that I don't like about it, and Cinnamon actually has everything that I want in GNOME already. So I'll just use Cinnamon. Anyways, guys, thanks for the watch. Have a good one. Cheers.